So after 3 long years and 2 controversies, Spider-Man Lotus has finally come out for free on YouTube. In case you aren't aware, Spider-Man Lotus is a fan film about Spider-Man that has been in the making for a couple of years now. A lot of people were really excited about it, myself included. But that was until it came to light that the director and also the main star of the movie who plays Spider-Man both have a racist past. I'm a really big Spider-Man fan. I read a lot of his comics. I've watched all the movies and stuff, and I'm a big fan, so I gave this a watch. So I thought I'd just review it. I am separating the art from the artist here, and also, just so you know, my capture card hasn't come in yet. I don't have any extended storage, so I'm just using some footage from the Spider-Man PlayStation game. And just so you know, this is going to be like my Twisted Metal review, where, this isn't scripted, it's much more casual, just my thoughts off the top of my head. We got a lot of stuff to cover, so let's just dive in and start with the good. The first good thing about this movie is that the suit looks really good. Really good job on the suit. The animation team behind the web swinging did a fantastic job. The guy who played Harry was pretty good, and the guy who played Flash Thompson is a really good actor. I don't really know if he was right for the role of Flash Thompson, but regardless, he has talent. Same with the little kid, he did a really good job. The score was definitely in the movie. So that's a plus. Good job putting music in your movie. And with that heap and pile of good out of the way, let's move on to the bad. Since the good section started off with the suit, the bad section should too. I don't know how anyone thought we were supposed to take the Green Goblin serious when he looks the way he does. It looks like a Halloween costume, and it's just ridiculous. He's not intimidating remotely. I don't really like the homemade suit either. And also, I guess this is a good time to point out that, because the homemade suit is in the scene, they openly just straight up rip off the scene where Peter confronts his uncle's murderer from Spider-Man 2002. They just blatantly recreate that in here, and also they use the trope of it's all black and white except for one thing. Everything is black and white except Spider-Man, he's in color, and I'm so sick of that trope. It's like one person did it one time and everyone decided, yeah, we're gonna copy that. The acting is not so good. Like I said, the kid, Harry, and Flash were all pretty good. The others were really not great in the sense that there were times when I thought that I was watching a CW TV show. It was that level of quality. And I guess their acting can't really be helped by the fact that there is some horrible, horrible ADR in this movie. It is awful. It's like you can't not notice it. It's so bad. Real quick before I forget, I did forget to mention this, but the Shocker is also in this movie, and his suit is awful too. I just wish one movie would do the Shocker right, but I guess not. And I guess moving on to the story, they're pretty much just doing Spider-Man Blue, also that episode of the animated series where Spider-Man goes and meets a terminally ill kid and talks to him. Which is like, yeah, that's fine for a movie, but like, it's a good story. But the B plot with Harry is just completely meaningless, and I don't care remotely about it, like at all. So yeah, the B plot isn't interesting at all, and the A plot isn't too much, like, isn't that interesting either. I guess I'll talk about that now. Basically, the way the plot goes for Spider-Man is he is upset about Gwen's death and fights Green Goblin, and he dies. Um, in pretty much the same way Green Goblin does in 2002. And then, he's mopey about it and he's sad and he quits being Spider-Man. Then he gets a letter from a parent who, you know, is like, hey, my son is terminally ill. He's a big fan of yours. He'd love to see you. And it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Get us into the plot. So Peter goes there and he sees that this kid is like a super fan and he like just kind of trauma dumps on this kid and tells this terminally ill kid that, hey, you're a hero, me, yeah, you shouldn't like me. I'm pretty much horrible. So that's, good luck with that. It's really just jarring. The whole movie is really jarring because it takes me out a lot, that scene. It took me out because Peter pulled out his like web shooter when he thought someone broke into his apartment. And it was like, are you trying at all to conceal your identity? The flashbacks can also be really jarring and, like breakneck. And I don't know why they feel the need to cut every 3 seconds during a fight scene. Maybe they just had terrible fighting choreography, but they were trying to hide it with all those cuts, but I don't know, man, it was really bad. In like the opening minute, you can tell how bad the CGI is. It is horrible. Like, I think, I understand it's a fan film, but I guess the original CG artist dropped out. The dialogue is horrible. Just straight up awful. There is also, this really doesn't help. After all the controversy that happened between the actor and the director, they kept a line in, which I don't want to repeat, but Harry makes this really stupid and unfunny joke about his facial hair. I guess he's not making a joke, but it's supposed to be a joke how funny it is because there's like no facial hair. And he uses a term for facial hair that is very derogatory to Asian people and is like used to make Asian people a caricature. And it's super racist, and I don't know why, but they kept that in the movie. So yeah, that's about how the dialogue goes. Yeah, in the end, Flash is going to the military and he's having a going away party, and Peter like almost shows up and makes eye contact with Mary Jane, but then an ambulance or police car drives by with the siren, it and he goes off and doesn't engage socially. He goes and does Spider-Man stuff, which I guess fits the plot because Peter's whole arc in this is, he should be Spider-Man again. It's him becoming Spider-Man again. But they also really focus on the fact that he needs to be more social, and you can't really have you're trying to have their cake and eat it too, but you can't because if he wants to be more social, he needs to stop being Spider-Man all the time and go to that party. But if he wants to be Spider-Man more, then he can't go to the party, and he needs to go and save those people. It's just really clunky, and talking about endings, this movie has about like 3 or 4 endings where I expected credits to roll and it just wouldn't. And which really sucked because this movie drags. It is it was horribly paced. And the movie is like 2 hours long, and I feel like I wasted an hour and 15 minutes extra on like what should have been 45 minutes. Because there's so much that you could cut. All of the shots, like there's some that like linger on for like 15 seconds and it was really obnoxious. And you could cut out Harry's whole B plot and it would totally be fine. It wouldn't matter. A new Superman fan film came out called Superman Solar, and I guess the main actor for that is also racist. So, these two movies are really giving the fan film community a bad name. I really didn't like this movie. Um, I'd say I liked whenever I give like a out of 10 rating, it's important to keep in mind that 5 is average for me, not bad, not good. So I don't really have a number for this movie, but it would definitely be below 5. I did not like this movie. Craven hasn't come out yet, but I definitely say this is probably like the second or third worst like Spider-Man movie in a while. This movie is much worse than Tobey's and Tom's, their movies. And I'd say maybe the only movie worse than it is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I really didn't like that movie. Even like Venom had some, like it was somewhat good, and Venom 2 was, it was pretty fun. Um, and Morbius was so bad that it was good, and I laughed at it, and that was a fun experience. But this one is just really bad, and like the only one that I could imagine being worse is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I definitely say this movie is like 1,000 times worse than the Miles Morales movies, the Spider-Verse Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. Doesn't even come close. And with them recreating a bunch of scenes from old movies and, just kind of doing Spider-Man Blue, this movie honestly feels like it feels like I guess it feels like a musician covering the Beatles, because the Beatles, they make great songs and they love the Beatles, who doesn't? And so they cover them and expect all this big praise because it's like, hey guys, we released and like our version of this really good song. But there's no beating the Beatles in a cover. Like if you're covering them, there's no beating the Beatles. It still pales in comparison to everything else, especially since it's a fan film. The directing in this was just horrible. I have no interest in seeing anything else from this director, especially if it's gonna be an extra hour and 15 minutes tacked on. Honestly, you could save yourself some time and go watch Spider-Man the Animated Series from the 90s, Season 3, Episode 2. It's basically the same thing that this movie did, but better, and in only like 20 to 30 minutes. So yeah, basically don't support this movie, don't watch it if you want to save yourself time. If you're a Spider-Man fan and you're curious, yeah, go ahead, see it. but I couldn't really recommend this to anybody. So yeah, movie sucks. It's boring, and the controversy does not at all help it. And with that, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and the more laid-back review style. If you did like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and also check out my other videos. I would really appreciate it. It means more than you know. And yeah, let me know what you thought about Spider-Man Lotus. I always try to interact with my comments as much as possible, so I'd love to discuss this movie with you guys. And with that, I hope to see you guys in the next video.